Alright, welcome back. So in this video I'm going to be covering just one aspect of machine learning. So I want to just really quickly show you the website where you can learn more. So if you go to developer.apple.com/machine-learning/, you can find a really great overview page of machine learning. And this is really great. I highly recommend that you read through some of this material. In particular, watch these videos from the WWDC sessions, introducing Core ML, which is a really great introduction into vision framework as well as natural language processing, which is what I'm going to be covering in this first set of videos. So make sure you watch this one and then this one. They're about 30 minutes, 35 minutes long. But they are really great at explaining their own APIs, and a lot better than I could any day of the week. So I highly recommend you read the video or watch the videos. And then I'm going to be covering natural language processing. I had a choice of choosing between the vision or NLP, but I decided to do NLP first because I do plan on working with text in my app. So if you've done what I said about watching the videos, join me right now and let's play around with natural language processing. Okay, so just really quickly, I'm using Xcode version 9 beta 6. So yeah, if you use anything lower than beta 6, I'm not sure exactly how it's going to respond, but yeah, so let's jump right in. So how do we work with natural language processing? Well, we actually will use a class called NSLinguisticTagger, and what this class does is it basically analyzes natural language and it tags parts of speech. Lexical class, it identifies proper names, it performs lemmatization, and determines what the language is. So again, if you're going to be using this in an app, just make sure you import Foundation. When you open up Playground, it automatically comes with Foundation, so I'm not going to type it in, but I just wanted to point that out. If you plan on using Linguistics Tagger or NSLinguisticTagger, you will have to import Foundation. Alright, so let's jump in. I already have some text that I have created, so I'm going to just pop this in here. So make sure you pop in a couple lines of text. I highly recommend you choose more than just one language because it's really cool to see this work with a foreign language that's not your own, because it just shows how powerful it is and how intuitive it actually is. Okay, so I brought in 2 quotes from 2 of my favorite books. One is George Orwell's 1984, and the other one is Thomas Mann's Tony Kruger. So I just brought in a couple of quotes, and then I just created just a plain sentence that has a bunch of pronouns in it, or proper names, so that we can work with that as well. So I highly recommend you get that just in there, so we just start working just straight off. So the first thing I want to introduce is language identification. So basically, really, there's only 3 things you need to do in order to get this to work. We basically need to create an instance of NSLinguisticTagger, LinguisticTagger. Don't know why I keep on adding an S to that. NSLinguisticTagger. We then need to bring in the text. That we want to work with, and then we need to return something. In this case, we're going to return some tags. In my next set of videos, I will show you how to enumerate over all of the words in your text, which is actually quite powerful and amazing, but I just want to introduce this first little thing because it kind of joins all this information together, and it makes it a lot easier to understand once we get into more complicated things like analyzing each word in the text. Okay, so let's get started. So let's create an instance. So I'm going to do just a constant tagger. You can do a variable, but I'm not planning on changing this tagger or this particular instance at all, so I'm going to create a constant. And then I need to bring in NSLinguisticTagger, and then a parentheses, and then I need to specify the tag scheme. So I'm going to bring this in. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is, if we notice, this is an array of type NSLinguisticTagger scheme. So we need to enter in some schemes in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's do some square brackets and do NSLinguisticTagger scheme dot, and then we have some options. We can choose language, lemma, lexical class, name type, etc. I'm going to do language because that's what I said I was going to do. And then options, I'm not going to have any options here. Basically all I want to do is look at what the language is, period, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to set it to 0. Alright, so we have created our instance. So let's dive into this a little bit. So if we hold down the option key, we can find out a little bit more about NSLinguisticTagger. And let's go ahead and open up the documentation. So basically what this is a class, like I said, analyzes natural language, blah, blah, blah. But really what I want to show you is the first steps, because you're probably wondering, how in the heck did I do the first steps? Well, it tells you what the first steps are. Is one, we need to create a tagger instance, specifying the text schemes and options, and then we need to bring in a text. So we're going to call this property string and assign it text, which I didn't do. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we take tagger, which is our instance, dot string, and then we set it to the text. So I'm going to use the German text here. So you just make it equal to text. Pretty simple. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is return a single tag. So how do we do that? Let's see here. So I'm looking for, getting linguistic tags. So I'm going to use this function here. It is a beta. It basically returns a tag for a single scheme or a given linguistic unit at a specified character position. So this is exactly what I'm going to use. Actually, I'm going to use this one down here because you can do unit. I'm not going to do unit. I actually want the scheme here. So this is what I'm going to be pulling in to get the tag, the language tag. All right, so what do I do? Well, I need to call the instance, which is tagger, and then dot notation and do tag, and then I need to choose the scheme here. So basically I'm just returning one tag, which is language. So I'm going to start at the very beginning, which is 0. So if you remember when we work with any strings or whatnot, the first character or word usually starts at 0. So that's why I'm doing 0. And then the unit is going to be, oops, why did I do unit? That was not what I wanted. I wanted scheme. For some reason I selected unit. Oh geez. Okay, let's back up. Dot tag. I wanted this one here. Okay. Don't know why it selected the other one. So scheme. Now I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to actually just use dot notation. I'm going to do dot language. Super simple. Now I could have done exactly the same thing up here, but I kind of wanted to show you where the language part was coming from and what its class is. So if we hold down linguistics tag scheme, or the struct, it's not a class, it's a struct, we can look at it. So let's take a quick peek at it. Oh, where is it? Okay, tag scheme is a struct. So if we take a quick peek at this, we can see it provides constants for the tag schemes specified when initializing a linguistic tagger. So here are all of our schemes. We have token, lexical class, name type or lexical class, lemma, language, and script. So this is where I pulled this information from, and there's some more information about it. So if we look at language, we see it applies the language for a token if one can be determined. And then let's go back. And so token range, I have no ranges set. So range is an optional, so I can just type in, oops, it's not where I thought I was supposed to be. So just type in nil here, and then sentence range, same thing. I haven't set a range, so I'm just going to set this to nil as well. Alright, so we have no errors, so let's take a quick peek at this. So it says its raw value is DE. Now if we go back to the documentation, we can tell that it provides a language identifier as such. So for English it's EN, for German it's DE. Alright, so another thing I wanted to show you is that you can actually have more than one scheme come in because this is technically an array. We can actually just do a comma and bring in another scheme. So the next one I'm going to bring in is NSLinguisticTagger scheme dot lexical class. So now I have two schemes coming in, and so if you notice, there's no errors because we're just saying, okay, well, we want another scheme to be included in our instance. So in this case, I want to look at the lexical class. So let's do tagger.tag at scheme token sentence range. Let's choose that one again. So I want to start at 0. So that would be, if we look at our text, it'll be here. So air. And then instead of language, we're going to do dot lexical class. And the token range would be nil again. Sentence range will also be nil. All right, let's see what happens. So this one is a pronoun, which is correct. So at 0, that particular word is a pronoun. All right, so again, it's really cool that you can do this. I mean, we found out what the language was in like 3 lines of code, and we added an extra option to look at, which is lexical class. So if you want to dive into this even more, I will be discussing identifying tokens, as well as lemmatization and named identity recognition in the next video, as well as introducing, you can do it in the longhand version as well as shorthand. So I'll show you both. Okay, so if this has helped you at all, or like even sparked your interest, just give it a thumbs up. If you want to stay tuned for the next set of videos I'm going to do, you have to subscribe and hit that notification button. All right, till next time, friends, keep calm and code on.